All right, establishing both a good position from both bottom and from top. Um, if it was up to me and I was your instructor, what I would say is I want you to be both dominant from bottom position and top position. In a lot of you know, mid-level guys, you'll see either they're a guard player or they're a top player. And really you should work on both. A lot of times being in the Midwest, what we'll get is a lot of really good wrestlers that won't work on their guard because they're already dominant from a top position, and so they never fully work on that position. Well, sometimes you're going to end up going against a better wrestler than you, and you're going to be on your back inside the guard. So I would work, if you can, like I said, on both. I know this sounds really elementary and that you should do that, but chances are that if you're a wrestler, you're probably not working on your guard game as much as you should, just on the idea that it might happen later on. Maybe you're not getting put on your back in your own gym, but guaranteed you will go to a tournament at some point, as long as you keep training and you're going against high enough folks that you will get put on your back. There was a couple times that even myself, I was going, in tournaments, and there were guys that were, D1, D2 level wrestlers, and I'd never wrestled a day in my life other than doing jiu-jitsu, and I've ended up taking those guys down. And then once I take them down, they were absolutely terrible off their back. And that's going to happen. It's just the way that it is. I mean, if you go with hard enough competition, eventually you're going to have somebody that's going to match strengths with you on one end, and then if they take you to a position where you're failing at, that's going to be a huge wake-up call. So I'd rather see you work on those things beforehand. So if you are a wrestler, by all means, go from the top position, allow them to come on top, and work from your back sometimes. Just let it happen, and then work, get back on top, and then let them get back on top. Boom, work off your back, get up on top. For you, it's going to be a lot easier. For the opposite end, you almost need a competitor, a cooperating person for you to be able to figure out how to hold position, right? So if you're predominantly a guard player, you need to learn how to hold position from top. And so with holding position from top, maybe you grab somebody, and it's either got to be somebody that's newer than you or maybe smaller than you. And again, going back to that empathetic thing, let them know that that's what you're doing today, trying to work on those particular things, and maybe they'll try to help you out and say where your problem areas are. Maybe it's from top position, maybe your hip space is just way too big, or your elbow isn't tight enough, or maybe you don't have enough bicep pressure on their face, things like that, or shoulder pressure on their face. All those things can attribute to that not working. So that would be my big thing for this particular section. If you're predominantly a top player, start working on your back right away. If you're a guard player, start working on top, just to be able to hold that position, because it's at some point going to become one or the other as far as is running into people where you're kind of struggling with that. So especially from the top position player being on their back, but also from a guard player, maybe you end up the person go to both pull guard, and that guy pulls guard first and starts setting things up, rather than you being able to pull guard and go from your guard. You have to work from top and try to get past, rather than a double guard pull.